After just 2 months of bombardment of Gaza, Israel has killed and injured roughly the same number of people that died in 4 months during the invasion of Lebanon in 1982. But the level of destruction is incomparably higher. We will only really know when a ceasefire is declared. But already, according to military analysts, northern Gaza, where 68% of the buildings have been destroyed, compares with the Allied bombing of Hamburg, Cologne and Dresden. After years of bombing, nearly 20,000 Palestinians, 70% of whom are women and children, have been killed in half the time it took to force the PLO to leave West Beirut in 1982. And yet still, Israel's bloodlust has not been sated for the Hamas attack on the 7th of October. Expressing the popular mood, you have television correspondents wishing that 100,000 Palestinians should have been killed. Daniela Weiss, the head of the Israeli settler movement, said that Gaza should be erased so that settlers could see the sea. Unlike the siege of Beirut or the 1982 massacres at Sabra and Shatila refugee camps, the nightly bombing of Gaza is being streamed live by Al Jazeera. Millions of Arabs cannot tear themselves away from witnessing the scenes of horror in real time. And this is having a seismic effect on public opinion in the Middle East. In Palestine itself, the pollster Khalil Shikaki found that 72% of correspondents believed that Hamas was correct to launch its attack on the 7th of October, with 82% in the West Bank backing it. At the same time, support for the Palestinian Authority has plummeted accordingly. Shikaki found that 60% wanted it dissolved. The same thing is happening in the Gulf states, which have or were thinking very seriously of normalizing relations with Israel. Even in Saudi Arabia, whose de facto ruler, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, flew to Israel secretly to attract Donald Trump's attention in his rise to power, 96% of Saudi nationals believe Arab countries should cut their ties with Israel. The survey taken on last Friday also found that 40% of Saudis express positive attitudes towards Hamas, and that compares to just 10% in August before the war began. A series of US intelligence assessments confirm the meteoric rise of Hamas's popularity since the start of the war. US officials now admit Hamas has successfully positioned itself as a defender of the Palestinian cause and an effective fighter against Israel. So whereas Israel and its military establishment think of victory in terms of the number of Palestinians it has killed and the number of homes it has destroyed, Hamas is vastly increasing its field of influence. This is bad news for anyone who thinks they can impose the PA as a temporary ruler of a destroyed Gaza, and that includes most governments of the Western world. But it's even worse news for this Israeli government or any future one. The destruction of Gaza is laying the foundations for another 50 years of war. Generations of Palestinians, Arabs and Muslims will not forget the barbarism with which Israel is dismantling the enclave today. Gaza, which is one big refugee camp, is becoming sacred turf. This war has been an astonishing miscalculation for Israel. As well as being a moral and legal disaster, it's a military one as well. It's given the resistance a popularity and status in the Arab world unheard of for many decades. Mitot Hamas, which in Hebrew is collapse Hamas, is the slogan and aim of the Israeli war camp. It could well now revise this to read Mitot Israel, because that is the effect this war might yet have.